La 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 yeah. Woo!
Jason, and then I'll share.
Um, it was delightful. It was nice. I agree with Mo about the framing of like how to carry and repurpose, the idea, at least in the past imagery, was this idea of separation, of boxes, of, a constant increasing distance between those boxes, and then the conflict that comes actually from the forced separation. And then being able to be like, well, what if I just change them to circles? Came into mind. I was like,
Yep.
we're not boxes anymore, and we're not fitting square pegs into round holes. We're just making new holes. That was a nice way of like kind of reframing it, because the circles in the previous and the past for me were kind of like all around the perimeter. We're kind of like all around the perimeter there. That was my like limited understanding of a complex situation, and only being able to see it from the margins and never as the whole thing, because that's all you can ever see it as, is the tiny little piece that it is, and you're not seeing, you can never really see it. And so then by shifting the circle from the margins, not to the center, but to the actual making up of the entirety of the space, it's no longer, there's no longer a margin, there's no longer a center, there's like a blending, there's a bleeding. So that was like a nice way to like think about it. But then I was like, but there's still this conflict, like that's just kind of human, right? So like conflict will always be there. But the idea is that the conflict actually can be held by the circle versus being the thing that's holding the square or the border. So that was just kind of a way to like that process of like of invitation into not denying what's in the past, but recontextualizing into the present was actually very helpful.
Right on. I actually experienced something similar when coming from the past and noticing that my setting was blanketed with those jagged edges and those moments of, I still don't have a name for that crisscrossing space that causes my flow to just disintegrate, like, or just go to smithereens. But even in the present moment, I noticed that even when I was choosing, I was still choosing, same thing. I was still choosing rounded edges, because I wanted to create the peak. And it was pretty late in the day when I also decided, wait a minute, I can curve them. I can make them into actual, right? Round shapes or dots. They don't have to be planted, because I noticed those jagged edges were all planted. They were jutting up and very well, rooted, right? And I was creating that, and I almost had a moment where I didn't leave enough space. It's still in me because of just even the way that I grew up. Like, there's certain, rules and ways that you're supposed to be, and what's considered appropriate and blah blah blah, versus what other people are saying. So those two things, I've been straddling these two cultures all my life, right? And so it wasn't even natural to me to leave space, like to leave enough space between them. It's like, can I do that? It's like, of course you can. You're the artist. Like, you can you can just use, one beat like per big wide space, right? And so it felt really good to just make the decision to flow, like to just flow through them. Like, it is possible. Like back here, it's like, well, I see this thicket and I can't get through it, and that's not real. That's a lie, right? It's the way that it feels, So when I made the choice it was liberating, and at the same time I was surprised at what I was still allowing, right? Like even in the moment of creation, right, I was still like, oh, I need to do it this way. It's like, no, you don't. You can do whatever you want, right? So that was a beautiful thing.
Hey there, family, comrades, and neighbors. It's Jason Wyman here, urging you on the other side of this screen to like and to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And if you are so moved, please share this content, or any content really, with your comrades, family, and neighbors. I really want to grow this community of weird queerdos. Can you help me do that? It's how we cultivate camaraderie, solidarity, artistry, and love. Thanks so much for tuning in and for sharing. Ciao.
La